Yeah, I don't know, you know, like, I know sugar gives you energy, but I don't know if salt gives you energy. You know? Do you?
Well, I believe salt must give you energy because, like we were talking about just now, when you go to the doctor and you have a blood test or whatever the case may be, one of the things that they check is your sodium levels, if you see what I mean. So to me, it all comes back down. I think we need all these things. We need salt, sugar, all these kind of things, you know. But it all comes back down to balance again, like we said earlier, and about moderation. You know, moderation is the key to everything. You know, it's overindulgence and greed can lead to your own downfall sometimes as well when it comes to your health. You know, sometimes it's okay sometimes to have a meal that you might think is, some people might say is quite unhealthy. Like every now and again, it's nice to have a nice burger and chips, and then afterwards have some ice cream or something afterwards. Or you've got to enjoy your life too. At the same time, it's finding that fine balance between enjoying your life, but at the same time not overdoing it to the point where you're abusing your body and it's becoming detrimental to your own health, if you see what I mean, not only physically but mentally. Because what a lot of people don't also know as well is that your gut health, our gut health, is responsible a lot for our mental, what's going on in our mind as well, because what you're putting into your body, like they say, that old saying, like my old sayings, mate, another old saying.
Not another old saying.
You are what you eat, as they say, as well, So you have to be careful what you're putting into your system, what you're consuming, and, because all that can also have an effect on your minds as well, your thoughts and your energy. Going back to energy, like we're talking about, can affect your energy, can offset your energy, because the two are interconnected. Your gut health and your mental health are interconnected.
Are you? I think there isn't any voice talking to you. You're not really aware of it. I don't think you're really aware of it when you're young either. It's talking to you in a way. I need a bath. I'm hungry. Do you know what I mean? It kind of talks to you. But you don't know it. It ain't got a voice. You don't say, "Give me some chips" or anything. It just tells you I'm hungry. Or I need.
Well, to me, hunger is just like a natural feeling. When you're hungry, if you see what I mean.
Oh,
it's almost like it's intuitive. When you're hungry, if you see what I mean. If you haven't eaten all day, you get in, and all of a sudden your tummy's grumbling, and you might even get to the point where you get so hungry you get like that burning sensation in your tummy. I don't know if you've ever been that hungry to the point that you've had to wait so long, you get like a burning in your tummy, like you're so hungry, like you can feel like that burning. It's like you need some food. Your tummy's telling you, your stomach's telling you, you need to eat. You need to put some gas in the chamber. You know what I mean?
I was thinking about that. Like when you're a baby, right, and you're hungry, you can't remember it, can you? Yeah, but you're really hungry, aren't you? Like, even when you're first born, the first 2 days, you're reaching out for that breath.
But
you're doing it naturally,
and it's instinctual too, like you say, because like when they come out, even my son, as soon as my wife started to breastfeed him, as soon as he came out, and they held him and washed him off and made sure he was clean and made sure everything was okay with his hands and his feet and everything else that they do. You know what I mean? Get you to cut the umbilical cord and all that type of shit. And then afterwards they wrap them up and give them to you and your missus. And as soon as she started to breastfeed him, straight away, his head was already, like you said, his mouth was already trying to latch on to the breast.
They're just not aware of life.
Or anything going on.
They're not even aware of themselves, but they're doing this.
They're trying to get the breast to get the milk to try and it's like survival kicks in. Survival mechanism kicks in. Instinctual survival mechanism kicks in. That's why babies cry. As we know, that's why young infant children cry. If they can't talk, to communicate, they have to communicate in a different way. So if they're crying, there's different cries for different things.
Yeah. Like if they got got a bad nappy, they were crying in a horrifying way.
Yeah.
And you can hear that. you know, they're uncomfortable basically, you know, but their hunger cry is different to that, you know, and that's what, you know, they're speaking to you.
Yeah. You just got to learn how to do.
They've not learned how to talk yet, you know.
That's what it is. So that's why they've got to cry. They've got to make those noises, especially cries, if they're like uncomfortable or like you said, unhappy or something's going on or something's not right, they're not feeling well or something. They have to communicate via crying,
yeah.
you know, or making noise, making, you know, trying
you
to
know,
get.
Like if a baby was in pain, that baby would cry.
Yeah.
You know, you'd know that baby was in pain. You know, you'd run to that baby.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a different cry to a hungry cry, that's for sure. Do you know what I mean? And you know, that's interesting itself, where babies do communicate to us, but they don't know to speak.
No.
You know, they've not learned that one yet. So
No.
but they do communicate in the way they cry.
Yeah, that's
simple.
it. Yeah.
You know.
And it's learning how to decipher that too as well. Like when you have your first child, it takes time for you to learn and, you know, and understand all the different cries and all that stuff. Because obviously it's a new process. It's new to you and your missus and or your wife or whatever the case may be. And you know, you're figuring it out, so to speak. It's your first child, and you obviously your natural instincts kick in, and you know how to look after a child and what they need and what they what they require and all that type of shit, and what you have to look after them and etc. But yeah, it's a learning process, isn't it, over time, and the more children you have, I guess, the more in tune you become with it. Like even with my daughter, when she was growing up, obviously because we'd already had a son who was 5 years older than her when she was born. She's lost my train of thought, but yeah, her I don't know what to say.
Well, you're talking about your daughter,
Yeah. But before that, I was trying to think what I was leading into.
Because she's winning.
Yeah, because she's winning. But yeah, with my daughter, that's what I was saying. Sorry, with my daughter, it was a different experience raising me and my wife raising our daughter than it was to our son. Not only because she's a girl, having a daughter in comparison to a son, but because we already done it before. We gained knowledge and experience and understanding of what it was through having our son, and so it made our parenting and raising of our daughter easier because we'd already.
Well, when anyone first has a baby, they haven't got a clue what to do in a kind of way, have they?
Well, I think a lot of it's instinctual. What they need. Like anyone that's got common sense, and it's logic too. At the end of the day, too, like what they need. You need to buy. You need to make sure you have somewhere that you and you and your missus can be with your child. That's safe, a nice, clean, safe environment for you and your missus and your child. That somewhere they can be raised, brought up well, and they need clothes and they need food and they need care and attention, and they need hygiene, and they need everything. They're completely dependent on you for everything.
Well, they're useless, aren't they? Babies, really, when you think of it. They can't, when babies are first born, they can't walk, can't talk, They're pretty, dependent on other people to do things for them.
For at least a few years, up until about. They get to a point where they start to get more and more dependent when it comes to like using the bathroom and doing certain things. Like even my son, about a year ago, he started showering himself.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
He started washing himself. He has a shower by himself now every day.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what I mean, he doesn't need anyone to do that for him anymore. If you see what I mean, he's
independent.
And he's learning now I'm teaching him now how to do certain things too when it comes to like making toast. Like I said to him, okay, every morning you get cereal for you and your sister. You guys have your cereal and you get your yogurts out the fridge, and you guys sit and have your cereal and your yogurts because he likes to do that. He likes to be independent in that way. But now I'm teaching him how to, if you're hungry and I'm still, say I'm really tired and I want to have an hour's sleep or whatever, he can make some toast for him and his sister. If you see what I mean, he can, and he's learning. I'm teaching him now other things too, like how to cook and stuff. If you see what I mean, not that I'm expecting him to start cooking now, but I want him to learn. The basis of it, so that when he gets to a certain age, and I say to him, okay, once a week. you have to make a meal for the family,
Yeah.
then he'll be able to produce something that's hopefully quite, you know what I mean, quite good.
Right, yeah.
So that when he's older, it will transfer into his life when he's older.
Yeah.
So that if he's by himself, if he's a man living by himself on his own, got a good job and good career, and he's a single man, he can look after himself. But not only that, if he does have a woman, or whatever the case may be, he can look after her, and he can and even impress her with his cooking, because it's a woman likes to be cooked for too. They don't only like to be cook for us, but they like to be cooked for too. If you see what I mean. So if you can cook for her, cook for him, and for your kids too. If you end up having kids, then you can cook for them. You know, so it's to me, cooking is like a life skill in a way.
Of course it is. Like I say, I mean, you teaching your children, you know, to cook, right? The sooner the better, really. Yeah. You know, the sooner you can teach them that, the better. You know, because then they'll be independent enough to.
Well, it's like even the other day he was making toast on it, but I taught him, I was like teaching him how to make toast and stuff. I said, listen, you've got to make sure that when you plug it in, you've got to make sure it's turned off at the wall.
Yeah.
Like teaching him about electricity, because obviously it doesn't only, now you're talking about using electricity, like going back to electric. You know, bringing it back round to electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, teaching him how to use electricity. If you see what I mean, telling them, okay, when you plug it in at the wall, it needs to be switched off, and then once you plug it in, then you switch it on.
I mean, that's another thing you got to teach children.
And also reminding them that it's a toaster, and if it ever gets stuck, you don't use anything to take it out. You don't, you know, you've got to make sure it's turned off.
Yeah.
You're going to try and take if toast for whatever reason becomes jammed in it. You've got to make sure you turn it off, wait for it to cool down, and take it out, and you know, just like the instructions of like, you know, because obviously it takes, when you're a child, you have to repeat it a few times. You know, it's that repetition of, you know. But once they've done it a few times, it becomes second nature. You know. So when I woke up this morning, he was making, you know, toast for him and his sister.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, each child, they take your energy completely, don't they?
Oh, definitely.
You know, and
yeah.
Like, so you have got to focus on them.
Yeah.
And give a lot of energy to them, basically. And I think like teaching them something like a life skill like cooking is really good, because like if you make them independent, your children, to do things for themselves, and they know how to do it correctly, whatever, you know. And like, for instance, electricity, right? Now, children don't know how dangerous electricity is.
Yeah, that's what you have to explain to them. You have to get them to understand.
Sometimes, you know, the best way to learn is get electric shock, you know, but...
Well, I always say to I'm honest with my children. I don't really like beat around the bush with them. I say to them, listen, electricity can be dangerous to the point where it could be fatal. If you do something wrong or incorrectly. You know, you never know. Some person could get shocked, and they might be able to release what it is that's shocking them, and some people might not relate it, you know what I mean, might end up getting bloody shocked to death.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few electric shocks in my lifetime, yeah, and it's really shocking.
I've had one. I've had a nasty one.
Do you know, like when you're little, right, you go out in the woods, whatever, and you get stung by nettles. And kids do, don't they? They learn, don't they, that those are nettles, and they I don't want to do that again, basically, yeah. It's quite interesting, really, you know.
Yeah.
Why, like, they've got nettles on them, really, like these little pointers that will put needles on you, you know, into your skin and pierce you, just to tell you, don't you ever touch me ever again.
Yeah, yeah.
But electricity, you know, how can you teach children? You know, I think every child learns about nettles.
But I think if you're honest with them, you tell them, listen.
Yeah.
You have to treat this with caution because of how deadly it could be. Not saying it would be deadly, but it has the potential. You know.
Yeah. But
so it's just
some people don't even know how dangerous it is. Right?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Because I had the experience.
Well, I've had a shock, mate. I told you about it before. When I was working in a hotel, I had a shock from a lamp, a static energy shock from a lamp, mate, and for about 10-15 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, straight away, as soon as I picked it up, but it was already unplugged. I turned it off at the wall, unplugged it, picked the lamp up in my hand, was walking with it across the hotel room floor, was walking across, was about to exit the hotel room. I was going to replace the lamp with another one because that's what my supervisor asked me to do that day. Replace one of the lamps. That was one of my jobs basically that day, you know, to replace one of the lamps in one of the rooms. But it was already unplugged. I was walking with the lamp in my hand, and the lamp had a split wire in the cable, and my hand touched that. And mate, the shock that this thing gave me, I was literally stood with this lamp, like literally, because the hotel room doors, because I was on the ground floor, and on the ground floor, the hotel room doors, they had like sliding doors.
Yeah.
So I was heading towards a sliding door to exit the room to close it. I was going to go out and close it, whatever, come back. I was walking towards the exit, my hand touched this cable. The lamp dropped, and the shock from this lamp flung me like back onto the bed, like onto the bed behind.
Lucky the bed was behind
like, yeah, the bed was behind me.
Lucky that was.
And like, I was going to say, I don't want to exaggerate, for roughly about 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I was dazed, like, what just happened, if you see what I mean. And then I realised what had happened, if you see what I mean. Like, realised that, you know, I've been shocked, you know. But that was the worst one I've ever had. I've not ever had.
But you can imagine if you never had that experience, yeah.
But I was always so careful, and even with that time, I was careful that I turned the lamp off, you know, unplugged it as you're supposed to do, because I always was cautious. I never wanted to get a shock, so I used to always proceed with caution. I wasn't silly, you know. But because the wire had a split in it,
yeah,
that there was still some current in the lamp.
Yeah.
You see me, some static energy in the lamp.
It gave you some energy.
It gave me some bloody energy, mate. You know what I mean? Gave me wings. That really did give me wings. That'd be a good advert for Red Bull. You know what I mean? Gives you wings. You know what I mean? That, you know.
I mean, that's just it though. It's quite interesting how like electricity.
Yeah.
It gives a, you know, such a shock to us. You know, like if I touch some electric, say that had electric on it, it would go, and I'd touch you, you'd get electric shock too.
It's funny,
it runs through you.
The last time I told my wife about that story, one time. She said, "Oh, that's what's wrong with you then." She said, "Were you feeling all right after that?" Just taking the piss, you know. Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I was perfectly fine. Thank you very much." You know. Yeah.
They used to give. I mean, my granddad, you know, going back in time again, 50 years ago, I was talking about my nan and granddad, you know, about how they lived a bit, you know, no electricity really, didn't really, it did exist then, but, you know, I think you had to have money to have it in those days.
Yeah.
But I can remember my granddad, he was getting on a bit, you know, when he was about 80, you know, I was a little bit older then, and they used to give him electric treatment every week. Yeah, you know, in those days they used
when they used to do that.
They used to give people electric treatment, you know, and I remember one time he was having this electric treatment, you know, and he come off the bed he was on.
Shit.
Onto the floor, and they broke his back.
Oh no. Shit.
You know, they made this whole thing worse, you know, do you know what I mean?
Oh dear.
He died shortly after.
I'm not surprised, poor bloke.
You know, but this is what they experimented with electricity on people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a bit shocking, really. I mean, do you know, like, it is shocking. It is shocking.
It is shocking, literally. It is shocking, mate. That's why I was laughing, because when you said it's shocking, because it's literally, it's a double entendre, isn't it? It is shocking, and it is shocking.
It is shocking. You know? It is funny. It's funny. It's double shocking.
Yeah, double shocking.
Double shocking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I mean,
shocking squared.
Even when you have a heart attack, you know, they come round with these electric things can give you electric shock.
Yeah, but that's different because of how your heart works.
Yeah.
So.
You know, to wake you up again, you know, they give you these electric shocks.
Where's your heart?
These machines actually save people's lives, you know.
It's just to get the heart pumping again.
Yeah.
It don't work like that with your other organs, you know. Just with your heart, it works like that. You can use electricity to repump your heart, you know. You know, because of how it works. You know, you won't be able to do that with your liver or your kidneys or, you know.
But, you know, like, you know, talking about this constant energy in us, it must be electricity. It must be.
Well, it is. Yeah, we are electricity. We are
electricity.
That's why I say to people that we are like multi-dimensional beings. Like we are electric. You know. We are able.
Partly, we're not robotic, are we?
We're light beings,
You know, I think like robots can never be intelligent, you know, because I mean, like for instance, computers, okay, you know, people say, are they intelligent, you know, but people have actually created the software to make them intelligent, you know. They can't think like we can, do you know what I mean? You have to make, if you want a robot to do something, you have to sort of tell it to do it by making the instructions, but, you know, I don't think a computer can ever actually be aware of itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's possible. You know, you know, and we've got that gift.
Yeah.
That's we're electrical.
Yeah.
We're not metal robots or anything, are we? We're blood and flesh, aren't we? But we are kind of like robots, aren't we? In a funny way. You know, and you know, it's like someone's made us.
Yeah.
You know, in a factory.
I believe that. Obviously, you know, like people were created as well. You know, I believe there was some kind of outside interference, if you see what I mean, with the original people that were here on Earth. And
do you think because I don't, right? I don't think humans are different to animals.
I do.
You do, yeah.
I do, yeah.
I don't.
And the reason that I say that
I think
is because human beings are able to have critical thinking. The reason, what I'm getting to when I say that, what I'm alluding to when I say that is, animals live according to survival of the fittest. Yeah. And it's the same for human beings. We have to survive. Yeah. But animals have to kill.
Exactly.
We do as well, but not each other if we didn't want to. This is what I'm saying. Animals don't have a choice. They have to kill each other to survive and eat and to maintain, etc. We as human beings don't have to kill each other to survive and live and maintain.
But we do.
We don't have to kill each other. We might have to kill if it's livestock or whatever else the case may be, but we don't have to kill each other to live, if you see what I mean. Whereas animals do. We can survive without killing each other. We can grow food and we can eat meat and grow our own food and vegetables and crops and spices and etc, and survive and live without killing each other, if you get what I'm saying. But animals don't have that. They don't have that. They're not able to do that. They have to. They have no choice but to prey on something to eat to survive.
Depends. I think it depends what animal you're talking about. Sometimes, you know, like chimpanzees are quite close to humans in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, even like we were talking, talking about babies earlier on. You know that every born baby has got kind of the same pattern where they wake up 4 hours every night. You know, and all this sort of stuff. You know, same pattern. You know. So like we are kind of all basically the same, you know, but like say we all learn different languages and things, you know. We all got different parents and things, you know. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes us a bit different, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're much different really. We're all clones, you know. I mean, it's funny, you know, like when you see house cats.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done a lot of travelling in my past, you know, and I've travelled here and there. And basically, when you see a cat in the high street, it doesn't matter where it is, they're all kind of the same. But they all got a bit different, you know. Some are shy, some are more angry or more experienced in life, you know. You get more older cat that's more experienced, with a younger cat that's still exploring, you know, or whatever. But, you know, all the cats, wherever I go, they're all kind of the same, you know, a little bit, you know. They're all clones. And humans are too, a little bit, you know, I think. You know, we're all kind of alike, you know.
Well,
we all like to think we're different.
I believe there were some experiments done on human beings, that's for sure. I believe that, you know.
Of course there was.
You know, there's a big difference. Like, all of a sudden, we went from being like a Neanderthal human being. Is it going up? We went from being like a Neanderthal human being, and they had like Neanderthals type human beings, to having human beings who were intellectually evolved, if you see what I mean.
I think like we invented books, didn't we?
But I mean, we went from there was there's not a missing link, but I believe that, you know, but there's even evidence of it anyway, you know what I mean. If you look at the hieroglyphs in Egypt or lots of other different places and stuff like this, there's evidence that suggests that there were beings that come from, you know, different planets, whatever, or a different solar system to us, and they had they were doing some kind of experiments on human beings here on Earth, if you see what I mean, you know.
It's possible.
I believe that's a possibility, you know. We went from being, you know, not very advanced, not very intellectual, not very, so all of a sudden we were on a much, you know.
You know, like some of the stuff, right, yeah?
Mm.
I must admit, you know, like what I see on some of these documentaries, like early stone, you know, and some of these stone carvings that, you know, like the material was so hard that we haven't even got the materials to cut that today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think that these gone back 3000 BC, all this stuff, you know, and these rocks are carved somehow out of, you know, I just don't know how, you know, because man can't cut these rocks today, if you see what I mean.
Mm.
You know, but you know, sometimes you watch these things and you don't know whether they're true, in a funny way, you know.
Yeah.
Like I say, you don't, when you see something, don't necessarily believe it, in a funny way, you know. And sometimes the way I think, like man, they've invented a lot of things in time, like the wheel.
Yeah.
Or they learn how to basically draw, you know, pick up.
Well, not even just the wheel, mate. Think of the engine.
Yeah.
You know, the engine.
There's lots of things that man has invented so much.
So many different things that have become beneficial for us.
Well, today I think we've literally got everything, apart from they've not invented a time machine yet.
Yeah, but I think they probably have, but they haven't told anyone. I think they probably have.
I don't think that can ever be invented.
By this point in time, I think they have. They must have done. Look at what they're doing at CERN, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done any research into CERN and what they do at CERN. Look at what they're doing at CERN, mate. They must have already created.
I know, man. All right, yeah.
Mm.
I'm sort of a really realistic kind of person. I think logically a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know man's invented some incredible stuff like the computer, you know. That's not, you know, and the internet or whatever, and all sorts of, you know, the microwave I was talking about a few weeks ago. Incredible stuff, inventions. But the time machine, I feel, will never ever be invented because you just can't go back in time. No man or nothing or no computer can do it. Mm. The only thing that can do is your imagination can go back in time.
Well, the only way that I could foresee them possibly doing it, just being hypothetical, because like you said, I'm not sure if they have done it, but I think it's a possibility anyway. But the only way that I could see them doing it is through a computer. It would have to be.
You know, it is possible.
They would somehow have to create something.
They have invented time machines really with TV and cameras and that, because like they make films and they put you back in time. Mm. You know, or some films are quite old, they're black and white, and they put you back in time, they're real. You know, so in a kind of way we have invented it, but we can't see it. Mm. We've invented the camera, you know, which is kind of a time machine. You know, like I take a picture of my daughter when she was 1. Mm. I can still see that today. Yeah. It's a time machine, you know. Mm. Mm. You know, these photographs are sort of like a captured moments of time itself, you know.